Hello, it's Michael Riley. ABA Appliance. Also, refrigerator part replacements.com. Refrigerator part replacements, plural. Replacements is plural. Refrigerator part replacements.com. Also, restoreyoursubzero.com for the restoration kits for SubZero. If you're looking for any SubZero parts, you found them. I've got other videos on my YouTube channel as well about SubZero parts, but I wanted to do another one real quick just to remind people that any parts you need that SubZero makes, some of the parts that aren't available, I do actually manufacture some of the evaporators to keep the repairs possible, especially for the older units. SubZero seems to be wanting to make parts more and more unavailable and no longer available. Seems they're trying to force new sales, and the new units are outrageous. They're not worth the money. It's my opinion. $18,000. That's crazy. So a lot of people are contacting me from around the world to restore their SubZeros, and I'm shipping out restoration kits, sealed system restoration kits, evaporator, heat exchanger, compressor, dryer. Then I help them find a local service company to do the installation once they get the parts. Also, I have a complete restoration kit, which is not just a sealed system, but if it's 30, 40 years old, even 20 years old, the fan motors have lived their life. Thermostat's lived its life. 20 years is a life. Definitely, you're lucky it's still working, thermostat and fan motors, especially the condenser fan motor. It's up there with the compressor. It's real hot. So if you haven't had it serviced before, you might consider the complete restoration kit, which is basically it replaces everything, because 20, 30, 40-year-old units, they're usually in great shape still. But the parts are, wearing out. They're past their life. And restoring it, you just have the sealed system parts, compressor, evaporator, heat exchanger, and dryer. Condenser never gets replaced. It's steel, and it never has an issue. It doesn't corrode. The thermostat, evaporator fan motor, condenser fan motor, gasket, that's pretty much the, on the freezer there's a couple other components, defrost timer, defrost bimetal terminator, that I usually suggest you also replace. It's past its life. The refrigerator doesn't have a defrost system on it. It's cycle defrost. When it cycles off, the coils defrost. Freezer, there's too much frost. It can't defrost it because there's just too much frost on the freezer because it gets down to 0 degrees. So there has to be a heater involved. That's why you have a defrost control and a defrost bimetal terminator. The complete restoration kits are also available. Usually takes me, depending on the model and the availability, how the supply chain's moving. It's still moving a little bit slow. Nothing like it was. It was 8, 10, 12 months before. New units are taking over a year out to get them. So that's crazy. But sometimes there's parts that are in back order or whatever because there's a lot of service companies out there. So I usually give you about 3 weeks or so, 3 to 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks for the parts to get shipped. So don't think it's just going to be overnight. You're going to get it all fixed. Typically speaking, if it's a slow, usually it's a low side leak, which is a slow leak. Service companies can put Freon in it, and it's going to be just fine for weeks to a month or more, and cool fine, until they can get out there and replace the parts. So just ask them that, and I usually bring it up too, because I like to talk to them once in a while because I'm supplying the parts and the warranty for the parts. And I like to make sure that, and I try to help you find a service company that actually knows how to do the job and is going to not destroy the parts. If you've seen some of my videos, I've had to go out and fly out to 3 or 4 different cities to clean up after service techs that didn't know what they were doing. We have a new generation or two of service techs that want to change all the rules and do things differently than they've been done for hundreds of years. And it's creating problems. They're putting on fittings instead of brazing. They're not brazing. Brazing is like soldering. We don't call it soldering. Soldering's lower temperature, but for this conversation, I'll say it's like soldering with a torch. It's called brazing, and they don't want to do that. They want to use these low temperature. There's problems with that. They want to use mechanical fittings, couplings and stuff. You can't do that. So they're leaving massive leaks. They're destroying the aluminum with oxyacetylene torch, the wrong torches. They're melting the aluminum. And then a couple companies just left it hanging and left after they got $1,000 from the customer. And they won't come back. They destroy it, take their money, rip them off because they're not doing the job right. So that's why a lot of times I like to get, and this isn't all service companies, but we've got, like I said, a new generation or two of techs out there that they just don't want to do the job right. They want to charge a bunch of money and never come back and fix it because they honestly don't know how to do it. So I like to get involved just to speak with the tech service company and just make sure they understand that I'm warranting the parts. I don't tell them what to do, but I want to make sure also that when I'm talking to them, I can tell whether they know what they're doing or not, and I'll share that with the customer. And if they don't, or they're, I know what I'm doing, they're just that arrogant attitude, that's somebody you really don't want to deal with either. You need a down to earth tech that's open to what the customer wants. I try to help you with the process as much as possible. If you're a service company, same thing. I'm going to be turning the customer over to you. I've already shared with the customer that there's a range of maybe, what the labor might be. I never tell them what it is. But it is a big job. It can be 4, usually not 4, usually about 6 per unit, 6, 8, 10 hours. You got to pull it out of the wall. You can take it all apart. It's a big job. Brazing, and for the customers, understand this. Okay, you're saving 18. By the time it's done with delivery and installation, everything, it's probably $19,000, $20,000 for a new unit. You're saving that. The restoration kits are somewhere between $800 and $1,900. The complete restoration adds all the extra parts. So that's why there's a big range there. If it's just a sealed system, then it might be $8, $9, $10, $1,100 for the restoration kit. So there's the parts, and the labor, typically speaking, is going to be somewhere below $2,000. I'll say usually, depending on the area, because different areas charge different things. And the other thing about this is that techs are not going to do this for $200. They're just not going to do it. It's a huge job. And it requires and allows to get decent labor for it. There's training, there's specialty tools, thousands of dollars worth of tools, and special training to use the torch and all the refrigeration equipment. So understand, customers, that this isn't a deal where you're going to try to talk this tech down. He's just going to walk away because it's a big job. Okay, so he needs to get paid what he's worth. And typically it's not an hourly thing, but if it were, it actually probably would equate to about maybe $150, $200 an hour. Like I said, there's specialty equipment, training, everything. This is not something anybody can just do. You can't do it from YouTube, okay? So you're looking at probably the range of, like I said, 6, 8, 10, 12 hours for refrigerator. Same amount of time for the freezer. You usually don't do them on the same day because there's not enough time to do two refrigerator and freezer if you did both of them. Sometimes people do that because they want to restore both of them and have them for another 15, 20 years because all the operational parts have been replaced. So that's the nice thing about it. So it might be $3,000 or $4,000 per unit. Okay, 1,100, 12. That's 2,300. It might be 3,000. The freezers tend to be a little more expensive because there's additional parts, as I mentioned in the beginning, and there's more work. It's a lot more work getting them apart. You got to take the whole cabinet inside apart, and much more than the refrigerator. So there tends to be a little bit more cost in the freezer, just a little bit more. So that's why I said 3,000 to 4,000. And if you double that, let's say 3,500 each, $7,000. If you double $18,000, because they're $18,000 per unit, $36,000. So you got $7,000 or $36,000, $40,000, probably even higher than that because they're not the same size, the units. So you get them in there and you got to fix your cabinets now. So a cabinet maker's got to come in there and remodel the cabinets. That can be $5,000, $10,000. You know how those guys are. Nobody balks at that, or electricians or plumbers, but when it comes to appliance repair, they don't want to pay any money. And we have more specialized equipment than they do. And training as far as using torches and all that, and refrigeration equipment. So it's a big job. You're going to save tens of thousands of dollars. But work with the service company and pay them what they're worth. Let them know that, I know it's a big job. And keep in mind what you're going to save, okay? Tens of thousands of dollars, okay? So I try to bring this out up front. And I know it's not like it normally is when we deal with purchasing things or doing repairs. You usually have no clue what the cost is going to be. And you're hit with it all of a sudden and you're shocked. I don't want that to be the case. I want it to be a pleasant, comfortable situation for customer and the service company and for me. Because if the service company knows what they're doing, he's not going to come back and destroy the evaporator and say, oh, your evaporator was leaking. No, it wasn't. I tested it before I shipped it out. 3 times I tested the evaporators to make sure they don't leak. And that's a fact. So I know they're not leaking. So then I asked him for pictures, and it's all black, and you could tell he used the wrong torch, and he melted it. So I try to avoid those things, all the hiccups for the customer and for me, because I'm not warranting something that he destroyed. So he's going to have to buy another one, or the customer's going to end up with an argument with the service tech, and that's not a good situation. So I try to communicate with both the customer and the technician ahead of time, so we make sure that you have a good service company that knows what they're doing and is actually willing to be honest in about the whole deal. And when I talk to them, I kind of give them tips about being careful about certain things. I know what they're doing, so I'm not going to tell them what to do. At that point, I know what to do. I just giving them tips so that I make sure that at the same time I'm comfortable sending the parts out to the customer, that this person knows what they're doing. Because in the past, when the customers have not had the technician talk to me, those are the examples where I had to fly out to the cities. Customer paid for my flight, in one instance, my hotel room, because I had to stay overnight. It was in Aspen, Colorado. It was a snowstorm. We couldn't even get out of there when it was done. I had to wait another day for flights. It's just insane that I have to fly out and follow up after parts that I ship out and send it. That's where my job ends. But this is what's happening these days. And good service companies out there, I don't know what we're going to do about these people, these techs now, or so-called techs, I call them, that are doing this. I mean, they're making a bad name for all of us. We need to figure out what we need to do. I don't know what we can do, but that's why I talk with the customer and try to vet the service company Nothing against used service companies. I just want to know that when I'm warranty parts, that I'm not getting one of those other companies, because we don't know who you are when we get a hold of you. And so, just a down-to-earth guy's the one that we're going to go with, you know, that doesn't have that arrogant attitude, know-it-all. So those usually are the disasters. So I want to keep this short. I just wanted to bring up the restoration kits as well. That's a big thing these days because people do not want to get rid of that big old monster. They love it. And it's in great shape, even 20, 30 years old, 40 years old. It's stainless steel, so it doesn't rust, you know. Some of the areas down at the bottom get some rust on them, but you can actually sand those and repaint them. And they're painted surfaces. They're not stainless steel because that doesn't rust. But they last forever, and you can restore them. Unlike what SubZero's telling customers when they go out, they tell them, "No, we can't fix it. You have to buy a new one." It's just ridiculous. No, you don't. So don't listen to that garbage. Any questions you have, you can tell I like to talk. So when you contact me, I'll get you on the phone, service tech, or I have a service tech here last week that is trying to work out a situation with a realtor situation where they got to sell the house. And I talked to him quite a while on the phone, giving him tips and the whole process. I spend the time talking with you more than what we're used to. That's just who I am. I'm a trainer. I have a training company as well. That's why I like to speak with techs, because I talk on their level. I don't talk down to them. ApplianceRepairTechSchool.com is my. If there's any techs out there that want to learn, get a hold of me. Right now I have a special half off 1, 2, and 3 week sessions. And I actually have a raffle too, for a $100 raffle entry that you win a 3-week session. You have to pay your way to Arizona, and you got to pay for your food. And we can work out the housing situation for 3 weeks if you want to stay for 3 weeks. I have an offer for. I've got a 3-bedroom house, so I'm just a service tech by myself. So if we get along on the phone and everything, and I don't feel like you're going to kill me or anything, then it's a $500 deal instead of paying for a hotel for 3 weeks, which is like $1,400 to $2,000. But it's a $5,000 winning of the course. The session, 3-week session, is normally $5,040. So you're going to win that for the raffle. And that's on ApplianceRepairTechSchool.com. You'll see the raffle on there, and you'll also see the half off. Back to the parts, SubZero Parts, any parts for customer or service techs if you can't get them, because I know it's difficult for techs to get them these days too, because of SubZero's arrogant attitude and pulling the carpet down out from under all the parts distributors, and they're being hostile towards service companies and not selling them parts. They won't sell wholesale anymore. If they do, it's retail, and then they have to control where the parts go and what that they go on. I mean, they're out of warranty. They have no right doing that. It's actually against the law what they're doing. So it's called restraints of trade. So if you're a customer that needs SubZero parts, or you're a technician or a service company, I've got them. I can get any parts you need. As I said, some of the evaporators aren't available. Contact me anyways. If something's not available, contact me. Very likely I can find it. Or I make it. I manufacture it. I've been doing this over 40 years, almost going on 50, so there's nothing I don't do. I'm a pro at sealed systems in diagnosis and resolving sealed system issues. So if you're a tech also that has a problem, or a customer that's had service companies out there that haven't been able to resolve the problem, they keep coming back and they're not fixing it, contact me. I'll go through with, I'm going to take you back to day one, and that's what I have to do. I got to go right back to the beginning and find out what your original complaint was. They may have misdiagnosed it, so I got to start there. But I'll get to resolution for you. I'm very good at that. I'm a total resource for SubZero parts, and also for a service. And I've been doing it a long time, and I do things the right way. That's why I get upset when I got to fly out to another city, because These guys aren't doing things right. And it's no excuse for not doing things right. You're ripping the customer off when you're doing that. So I'm very protective of the customer. And customer is the one that pays our bills, people. Stop ripping them off. Stop treating them badly. The word gets around quick, and those companies, they don't get any business eventually because people let other people know, don't call them. So hopefully that'll happen more and more, and get a lot more of these guys away from making a bad name for the rest of the good service companies out here, because there's a lot of good ones. I deal with them all the time. So like I said, I'm going to make this as short as possible. Bottom line is, I've got whatever parts you need for SubZero available. I've got whatever resource you need for SubZero repairs. Everything's in my head, or if it's not, because I've worked on them I've been a full-line tech for over 40 years, so I've worked on all of it. And I've trained techs, many techs, from all over the world. My training school for 17 years. I've been training for about 30 years. Factory trained. And so I can do things on Zoom with you. If you're a tech or a customer and I have a customer that's fixing his SubZero wine refrigerator right now. Part wasn't available. And so I located a replacement for it. This is where technicians have a difficult time. They're like, well, that's not the exact part. That's not the... You guys don't understand that SubZero doesn't make anything, okay? No manufacturer makes the parts. This is where you guys are so off base, it's unbelievable. I'll ship out a part that's from the factory that makes the part, and the technician's telling the customer, no, that's not the right part. It's not in the SubZero box. What are you doing? Are you kidding? Are you that naive? You don't know how things work? Okay? And that irritates me. Because now I got to justify myself to the customer when I've already told the customer exactly all the details. And you go in there and you're not going to put it in because that's not the right part. Yes, it is. Okay? Let me just, for those guys right now, I apologize to everybody else that's watching this. Let me give you a lesson right here. Parts are not made by the manufacturer of a refrigerator. Whirlpool doesn't make parts. GE doesn't. GE makes parts, but not for the refrigerator. They make other parts. They don't even make appliances anymore. Look into who owns GE now, okay? As far as appliance division. SubZero doesn't make parts. SubZero compressor. SubZero didn't make the compressor. Look on the label on the side of the compressor. Open your eyes. It says Embraco, okay? Embraco makes that compressor. Embraco has a part number. It's not the same as SubZero's. Embraco has a deal with SubZero to supply these exact spec compressors to them and change the part number to SubZero's part number that SubZero wants to use. They're not going to use Embraco's part number, so they come up with their own 7014067, whatever it is. And Embraco puts it in a box with SubZero's name on it and their logo, and with their part number, SubZero's part number, and now it's sold by, and what happens there? You just went from wholesale, distributor cost actually, lower than wholesale, you just went from distributor cost up to maybe $100, up to $460 that SubZero's going to charge for it. That's how it works, guys, okay? So stop telling customers that's not the right part. It is. What I do is I have cross-references. None of you have, probably. It's not easy information to get, and I've been doing this for a long time. I've got all the cross-references, not just for compressors, but for everything. So to the manufacturer, okay? It took hundreds and maybe thousands of hours to get all this put together. You're not going to have the information, and I'm not going to share it with you if you call me up. I got guys that, tell me what to, no, I'm not going to tell you. If you want to buy the part, I'll sell you the part. Instead of $460, I charge you $299. You see the big difference? I'm not going to rip you off like SubZero does for that compressor. Okay? So I get them direct from the factory, though, in Breako. Okay? So that's the difference. I'm sorry I bored everybody else, but this is something that also is something that's going on lately with these techs that just know-it-alls. They know more than everybody else, and I've never seen it in 50 years. I've never seen this so bad. Stop doing this. Learn something about what you're doing, and stop telling customers things that are wrong. Okay? Same thing if you make a mistake, own it. You know what? I used too hot of a torch, and I caused a leak in the evaporator. I'm going to have to replace the evaporator. What technician does that? An honest one. But most of them don't. They say, it's a leak from the factory. You know what? The customer knows you're lying, and they don't like that. Why don't you just be honest with the customer? Because they actually appreciate when you're honest. They might still be upset. Of course they are. But they're not going to be upset like they are when you're lying to them. They don't even want you to come back. Okay? So, I'm sorry I get off on these side things, but this is what's going on, and if I'm supplying parts, I want to make sure that the technicians also understand, the ones that are guilty of this, stop doing this, because I won't put up with it. And then you're going to have to own it to the customer, and you're going to have to pay for that new evaporator that you destroyed. Or if you destroy something, you just got to own it with the customer. You're getting enough labor from them, so you're going to have to pay another $150 out of your labor to replace something that you ruined. That's an honest tech, and that's one that customer is going to say, you know what? He made a mistake, but he fixed it. He owned it. I definitely have him come back, and they're going to talk raves about you to all their friends. You don't find that honesty anymore. That's what they'll say. You know, own it. They appreciate that, and they will give you the best recommendations, free advertising, more than you could ever imagine. Okay, I'm trying to let techs know what I train techs to understand when I train them as well, is that just be honest with the customer. You're a customer. You know when somebody's BSing you. Don't do it to a customer, because they know. Even though they just agree with you, they're thinking in their head, I can't wait till he gets out of here because I'm not ever calling him back. They won't say it to you because they don't want to be confrontational. They're afraid. A lot of them are. So anyways, make it a pleasant experience is what I'm trying to facilitate, and an educated repair. If you have problems as a tech, don't have a problem telling me that. Just say, you know what, this is something I'm a little difficult for me. Maybe you could share some information that you know, and I will. And I'm not going to make you feel like you're dumb or anything. I'm a trainer. I appreciate that. There you go. You're being honest again, and that's what I appreciate. And I will give you tips, whatever you need. I've done it all. I don't know it all. Okay, that's a big difference. There's no arrogance here. It's just experience. If I could share that with you, it's worth $1 million for me, the customer, that they get the job done right. Okay, so that's the bottom line. Just take care of the customer. I make a little bit. I don't make much on the kits, but the purpose for me is to restore these, get them so they don't go in the landfill. And I'm not a big landfill person. That's not about that. But it's a waste of money buying a new $18,000 refrigerator. It's ridiculous. How much they're just outrageous. So fix the old one. I've always been one like that. Just like with my vehicles, I fix it. I don't go buy another one. So I've been a service tech for almost 50 years. So I'm into fixing stuff, not buying new. If everybody bought new, we wouldn't have jobs. So I'm easygoing, but I get pretty kind of into it when people are doing wrong things. I'll let you know. I just don't like that. Customer doesn't deserve that. Customers, email me. There's always my emails close to the video, wherever the video is. Email me. It's best not to call me because, the spam Google calls, they're just constant, 24/7. So don't call me because I won't answer the phone for that reason. Email me, and then I'll email you back and say, hey, call me, or I'll call you, and we'll talk on the phone. It's easier on the phone. I don't like texting. We're not going to sit here and text problem back and forth. Not doing that. Okay, it's too hard to do, and you can't have a normal conversation. So, sorry, we'll communicate normally on the phone. We could text at times about other things, but not about the problem going back and forth. I need to know all the details, and you need to have all the details, and it's so much easier talking on the phone. Okay, so if you need SubZero parts, any SubZero parts for any refrigeration system, that example with that wine refrigerator, we're gonna have it fixed. And the service company came out and said it's no longer available. Can't fix it. You got to buy a new one. $4,000 wine refrigerator, expensive because it's SubZero's name on it. And now for $380, he just saved himself. That's what I do. I save customers tons of money. $380 to fix it and the customer's fixing it. I'm going to do it with Zoom as soon as I get the part, and have it shipped out to him. I'll be doing it on Zoom with him to walk him through it. And he's saving. And I have also appliance repair virtual hotline.com is my Zoom and appliance repair assistance. Regular appliances, $69 for the first 2 hours. For sealed systems, $149. In refrigeration systems, starts at $149 first 2 hours. And that's what he's going to be paying me. So instead of $4,000, he's paying for the whole repair $380. And he didn't balk at the $149 at all, because I already spent like 2.5 hours with him, diagnosing it, everything else, and I didn't charge him anything. That's what I do. I get to the bottom line and then say, look, okay, but I'm not going to charge him double. That's not the way you keep business. So we get it repaired, and he saves $3,620. Amazing. Yeah. And that's what you can save, customers. If you have a mechanical ability, even if you don't think you do, I usually will find out. And I'll say, you can do this, because I can tell. I've been doing this so long. And I'll talk you into, it's no big deal. I'll explain why it's no big deal. And if it is a big deal, I'll tell you, it's not something you want to do. You need special tools, So I'm very honest about everything. And I'm very helpful, and I can save you a ton of money. Technicians and customers, okay? So I'm a great resource. This is what I do. Supply parts, and I've been doing it for about 10 years. Refrigerator part replacements.com is my SubZero Parts website. If it's not on there, don't worry about it. Just contact me and let me know what you need. Model and serial number, always the serial number too. Picture of the model and serial tag is best. Sometimes it's hard to read, and we can decipher, text can decipher what the numbers and stuff are better than you are. Just like 0 and O. I had a customer giving me O the other day. It's not an O, it's a 0. We know that. It's a 0. So just picture is much better. And I can walk you through any repairs that you may want to do and save yourself some money. But I do work for a living. So if I'm going to walk you through the repair, understand you're going to pay me something. It's not going to be as much as you're going to pay a technician that comes out to your house. But pay me what I'm worth for helping you. I'm saving you tons of money, okay? So it's funny that I have to even say that. I don't have to say it to certain people. They're like, you know what? You spent so much time with me. Let me send you something. Do you have a PayPal account, or do you have a Cash App or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to. No, I want. And they send me money, and I don't tell them how much. They just recognize that we all work for a living, and they appreciate my help, and that's what I appreciate at the same time. Somebody with the mindset like that appreciates people that help them and are willing to pay them for their time. So it's nice to have that happen. I'm not pushy about payment. But if I start getting the other attitude, then I will bring it up. If you just want everything free, and I get that occasionally, not very often, but I just say, I do have a paid service, and I'm nice about it. At that point, they just want to hang up. They don't want to pay me. They want to go on YouTube and figure it out. They're not going to, because everything's not brand and model specific on YouTube. For you to find the exact problem that you have, and then you don't know if the guy's doing the job right. This customer with the SubZero, this is funny. With this SubZero wine refrigerator, he sent me over a YouTube video, and I said, "No, you don't want to watch that." It was a disaster what the guy was doing. Unbelievable. He didn't know what he was doing. And I said, "No, you don't want to watch that." He already watched it. Yeah, we're not going to go by that. We're actually going to probably do it just kind of backwards from what he's doing. That's what you get on YouTube. Not all of it, but too much of it. And some of it's dangerous. They don't give you warnings, and electrical things they do, it's just dangerous. You catch a house on fire. Yeah. So there's nothing better than, just like a car mechanic, having a car mechanic do something and tell you something that's the right way to do things. You don't take the whole transmission apart when you're supposed to take the motor apart. That's kind of a silly example, but it can be that kind of a thing. That's what this guy was doing with this wine refrigerator. Just doing everything wrong. It was unbelievable. I'm a great resource. I joke around. I'd love to joke around. And keep things light. So I've been on here too long. Bottom line is refrigeratorpartreplacements.com. SubZero Restoration Kits is restoreyoursubzero.com. Appliance Repair Tech School if you want to get training. And Appliance Repair Virtual Hotline.com is where I do my assistance, technical assistance. The rates are on there and everything. So, but the main one is refrigeratorpartreplacements.com for the SubZero Parts, and restoreyoursubzero.com for the restoration kits. Okay? All right, once again, it's Michael Riley. Don't hesitate contacting me for any reason if you have a question about SubZero. I also work on all brands. I pretty much kind of just am concentrating on SubZero. If you have a question about something else, another brand, that's fine. And my appliance repair company is ABA Appliance, and that's my YouTube channel, ABA Appliance. A is an apple, B is a boy, A is an apple, ABA Appliance. There's a lot of videos on there. There's some disaster videos on there of real disasters, like the trips I had to fly out to fix these with these technicians destroyed. There's a few of those on there. So you check out my YouTube channel if you want. All right, so once again, anything you need, contact me, email me. I get back to you right away, and we can get to a resolution. So have a good night, good day, whatever time of day it is for you, and a good New Year. It's New Year's, and I look forward to hearing from any and everybody that needs help or parts, okay, or service help. All right, take care. Michael Riley. It's ABA Appliance. All right, thank you.